Number 3 is probably the trickiest problem in this entire packet. It's worded very oddly, and there are a couple things in here that make you question your approach to how to do this problem. First of all, I've written a couple things on the paper and drawn a little graph, and I'm going to use that to explain something. The word zeros, that means x-intercepts, and they're called zeros because the x-intercepts are where y equals 0. Now we have these conditions to meet, but let's ignore that for now. Let's just get past the terminology first. When you read a problem like this, just make sure you understand the terminology. So we know what zeros means, and again, here's the reason, because when I cross the x-axis, I just scribbled this, and when we scribble this and we touch the x-axis, we'll realize that at every single x-intercept, the y value is 0. So that's what we need to do. We need to find the function that has x-intercepts, p and q, so there are 2 of them, such that this condition and this condition are met. Which choice describes f? Now, I've been trying to think of the best approach for it. There are 3 different approaches I have for this problem. One of them is ridiculous and confusing. Very briefly, let me show you my work from when I originally did this problem. I took this and I kind of multiplied by p and q, and I got this ridiculous thing, and I set it equal to this, and I solved. It'll work. But for the sake of explanation, let's not go there. And then I tried working it out a different way, and I ended up with, this is the solution to part A, and you get this. And when you do that, you'll have to multiply them to get certain things and add them to get certain things. And it'll work. And the reason I'm showing you these methods that I'm not going to explain is because using those methods will work. But sometimes it takes trial and error to figure out what the best method is. And after 2 trials of doing this, I found the easiest way. And I'm going to present to you the easiest way. But if you find another way, and it's algebraically sound, and it works just fine, go for it. But here's my idea. We need to find the x-intercepts of every single one of these and make sure they meet these conditions. What's the easiest way to find the x-intercept? Well, you can use the quadratic formula. And we definitely could. So here it is. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. But in the process of doing that a few minutes ago, I ran into a situation where we ended up with square roots. Basically, they were irrational numbers. And so these are going to be decimals. Because they are going to be decimals, we're going to get a little bit of a rounding error, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. In the process of doing this, we will get decimals. So let's do it. Here goes. Scrap piece of paper. We're going to start with answer choice A. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared. I'm going to forget the negative because when you square it, it becomes positive anyway. Minus 4ac all divided by 2a. We're about to get 2 answers. I'm going to round them. And this is arbitrary, but the more you round it, the better it'll be. I'm going to round it to 3 decimal places. Normally I'm a 2 decimal place kind of guy. I'm going to go with 3 this time. So 40 plus square root of 40 squared minus 4 times 8 times 5. Close that parenthesis. Divide by 16. I just messed up. I kind of went with it. Let's fix it. That entire numerator needs to be in parentheses. Entire numerator. There we go. 4.872. 4.872. That's fantastic. And actually the technical mathematical word there should be or, not and, but that's okay. 0.128. Oh, Mr. Reader, what does that do for us? Everything. P plus Q should equal 5. What's P and Q? Well, we'll let the first one be P, we'll let the second one be Q. And then the reciprocal, the sum of the reciprocals should be 8. So 4.872 plus 0.128, is that 5? Everybody grabs a calculator and you figure it out, and sure enough, it is 5. Yes. Condition number 1 is met. Let's try this. 1 over 4.872 plus 1 over 0.128. Can I show you a cool calculator trick? You Probably already grabbed your calculator. If this is equal to 8, then we're happy and we'll go home. 4.872, right there. See where my finger is? No, you can't see. It's not on screen. See where my finger is now? Reciprocal. Boom. That means 1 over that. Plus 0.128 reciprocal equals roughly 8. That's pretty close. That's awfully close. Don't know. Because it rounded off a little bit, we're not sure, so maybe A is it, maybe A is not. Very quickly, I'm going to go through the rest of these, and we're going to see what the best option would be. So here's letter B. Letter B. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared. Again, that negative is going to get tossed out because we don't care. When you square it, it becomes positive anyway. All divided by 2A. Let's get it. Let's get this real quick. Go back to the previous stuff we typed because it's so similar we may as well. We're just going to plug in, let's go back to that one. We're going to plug in a negative right here. There we go. 5.122. I tell you what, this next one better be negative or we're going to have a problem. Otherwise the sum will be greater than 5. Oop, there we go. And again, that word should technically be or, but we're not going to get too technical about it right now. So if we were to add them together, 5.122 plus negative 0.122, do we get 5? Yes, we do. Condition number 1 is met. If we take the reciprocal of each of those and add those reciprocals together, do we get 8? 122. Do we get 8? That should be negative right there. Let's find out. 5.122 reciprocal plus parentheses negative 0.122 reciprocal. We get something that's awfully close to, that's negative 8. Boom, it's not B. It is not B. We can go ahead and rule out B. Boom, B is out. Let's save a little bit of time, save a little bit of trouble. These are not going to equal that. It's not going to happen at all. I'm going to save you the trouble. You can go through that process if you feel like you need to practice. The answer is A. As long as you understand the process behind it, I'm going to save you the trouble of C and D because at this point it's just calculator stuff. Calculator is easy stuff and just guessing and, well, not guessing, but just plugging and chugging. If you got the concept behind it that finding the zeros using the quadratic formula will give you your P and Q and then you test it with those conditions, then you're good.